Htp family. Unfortunately, I couldn't dance to the music like I usually do because after you update I use this app to play this audio. To stream this to YouTube, and the audio messed up, so I couldn't be dancing. So I'm not in the dancing mood. Shout out to the chat. Lero's in the chat. Lero says I got some things to say, so start the live. So we started. This is today's episode. I'm guessing that we had Koku asking me what today's episode is going to be. Today's episode is going to be about transactional sex in Tanzania. Is it exploitation or is it a local, global custom? And I think that's pretty important because this was one of the things that nobody tells you before you go into Africa, or before you go into this country. Nobody tells you like the custom. Like I said, I went to Ghana last year and I wasn't, trying to date anybody in Ghana. So, I didn't really explore the custom, so I can't tell you on that. But here in Tanzania, I tried to be single, ready to mingle, and it was a different experience, a very disheartening experience. But at the same time, it kind of informs on philosophy, and because it informs on philosophy, we're going to try to dive into that. But before we get started, let me remind you guys that I'm part of a podcasting network called KWAZ Radio.
Only on KWAZ.
All right. Peace, fam. Let's see. That's weird. I don't see anything in the chat. But what we're going to discuss now is this article right here, right? So this article is a paper written in 2010. It's not something that I made up. It's not even something that I found or discovered. What happened was I was doing my usual podcast, and I was like, guys, I don't know what to tell you. There's transactional sex here, and it's different, And then, some brothers were like, man, shut the fuck up, man. Ain't no transactional sex. You just being a exploiter or something. And I'm like, nah, man, for real. Like, I'm looking to not do the transaction. You know what I'm saying? like I'm a cheap ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, what did I eat today? You know what I mean? Like, shit. I'll be drinking water. My son loves water because I'm a cheap ass. You know what I'm saying? And water's good for you, obviously. But, like that's what it is. And yet, these women are like, yo, sorry, boss, but you gotta like in one of the quotes, I think it's from this article. In one of the quotes, no self-respecting woman. Matter of fact, let me see if it's here. Yeah, no self-respecting woman would have sex for free. Okay? So you're in a country where it's believed that no self-respecting woman would have sex for free. And that's I've heard that a little bit in the South here. And, it's not that extreme. Just some women are like, hey, man, look, you can't be broke and got a pom-pom. You know what I mean? But this is kind of what I mean when I talk about the difference between reality and imagination. And one of the issues that is pervasive in African conscious circles in particular, but really in the world, is how over imagination is rampant. When we talk about when we sit down seriously and discuss religion, right? When we sit down seriously and discuss, what could we, what if we were to build, a nuclear reactor, to tomorrow, right? Which is, it's a good idea, but it's over imagination. And the thing is that is the currency. That's one of the social currencies, unfortunately, that we tend to get lost in. You know, I need to get this boy to get me some water. I'm at thirsty. Shit. Double entendre. Anyway, but let me see what the chat's like before we get into it. Wildero says she got something to say if I start, and then when I start, she don't got nothing to say. But let's go. It says transactional sex among young people in rural northern Tanzania, or Tanzania. I don't know how you can say it, honestly. An ethnography of young women's motivations and negotiation, right? So we're just going to read through. I didn't get to read it yet. Because, you know, a brother sent it to me while I was in Africa, and I ain't have the internet for that, you know? Plus, it looks like a long article, so I really want to go through with it. But let's discuss it. Material exchange for sex, transactional sex, may be important to sexual relationships and health in certain cultures, okay? Yet the motivation for transactional sex, its scale and consequences are still little understood. The aim of this paper is to examine young women's motivation to exchange sex for gifts or money, the way in which they negotiate transactional sex throughout their relationships, and the implication of these negotiations for the HIV epidemic. Method, an ethnographic, and this is what I'm saying. I go down to Africa, I come back and I report, this is my scientific findings. People are like, man, that ain't science, you just simping, right? And then these white folk go out of Africa, they say, let me do my scientific studies, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, oh yeah, well, they're scientists. Meanwhile, I'm certified, but okay. Like I'm certified, but okay. All right, so method. An ethnographic research design was used with information collected primarily using participant observation. That's what I did. In-depth interviews in a rural community in northwestern Tanzania. The qualitative approach was complemented by an innovative assisted self-completion questionnaire. So that, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I had these self-completion questionnaires as well. You know what I'm saying? After she rolls over, I said, what did you do that for? I'm just messing. By the way, shout out to my brother Buada. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my brother Buada. He said that he likes the Oni I became rather than the Oni that left. I gotta admit, I like it too. I wanted to add this though. Here's what's an interesting story, and I actually have this in my WhatsApp history. Okay, so I could actually just pull it up because when I was traveling to Africa, I said to myself, let me take some notes because I had a good experience on the airplane, and I'm not talking about good like that, although I did try, but well, not with this person, but I tried on one of the flights. But no, I had a good experience when I met this, and it was a brother, right? Met this brother who was an African American, right? Kind of on the, I shouldn't say anything about him, but African American brother, and I'm looking through my text right now. That's why I sound like I'm multitasking, right? But this African American brother is, telling me he's going to Ghana for 3 months, right? And I'm like, damn, okay, I see you, right? He's like, yeah, man, I'm not, shit, you know how it is. We ain't trying to be in the cold for no damn reason, right? And I'm like, I feel you, man. But I never been on no vacation for 3 months. So my first question is, cause like my lady, matter of fact, just broke up with me, right? I had a girlfriend, bad looking woman, right? Had a girlfriend. And she was like, if you're really about, making a life in Africa, then we can't be together, because I'm trying to make a life, at least maybe possibly in the Caribbean or something, maybe outside of America, but close to America, run my businesses in America. And because of that, and you're trying to be in Africa, we can't be together, right? And I'm like, well, look, as much as I do, as much as I would love to mess with you, and of course, I'm tempted to even hit her up, and I came back. Well, I mean, I didn't, but, I'm tempted to. And again, like I said, I'm a little distracted looking through my, of course, I don't know why I have all these, all right. But, she's like, I can't, whatever, right? So we have to break up, right? So now I'm a single man. And so I'm asking this brother on the airplane, I say, brother, my thing is this. You are gone for 3 months, right? How do you do it? In terms of you away from your lady for 3 months. And he's like, nah, man, I got a lady in Ghana. I got a lady in America, and I got a lady in Tanzania, right? And I say, damn, okay. And I'm like, no. Then at that point, if you guys don't know, if you guys don't remember some of my my earlier social exchanges, I'm not really I don't buy the whole polygamy is African argument, right? And in fact, some of my older stuff, I'm like, ew, polygamy, that's gross. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, while this brother's explaining to me, he's talking some logic and some sense to me, right? He's like, look, these women all know about each other, and I let them know straight up, and I take care of all three of them. You understand? But yeah, when I'm in that country, that's my lady, and when I'm out of the country, I'm with another lady, and I'm like, ew. That's gross, dude. Now imagine this. No, I didn't say that's gross, dude. I kept it to myself. I was kind of like, okay, bros. Not what I expected to hear. I don't really agree with that on a moral, sexual level. Me judging, the high nose and all that shit, right? But it is what it is, right? That's the brother's story. That was his advice. He said, look, get you a woman there, have your woman elsewhere, and just take care of them. And I'm like, ew, how could you sleep with more than one woman? Now, if y'all don't know, now, of course, I come down to Tanzania and, shit looks different when you are when you get out of your imagination, okay? When you get into the real world, when you get into reality, things look different. And that's the trouble that I find with a lot of African people. I don't even know if I'm looking through the right set of pictures, honestly. It looks like I'm not. Oh, shit, I'm looking through pictures, right? No, that's the thing about a lot of African people, right? A lot of African people, what we tend to do, is we tend to look at things through the lens of our imagination as imposed upon us by Wazungu, and not upon the real system that's in place on the planet. And when you look through the world through the lens of that hole over there, you already know. When you look through the everyone says she got something to say, then all she gonna say is call me a hoe. But when you look through the world through the lens of your imagination, right? What would God do? Like what a fucking there's no God, but you're gonna say, what would God do? What would Jesus do? Doesn't make any fucking sense, right? Your man Jesus was parting fucking seas for no damn reason, killing waves of animals in the process. So just shifting their entire existence, just because. So come on, that's not some wizard shit. No. Oh man, tell you, man, it's good to have a son. All right, but anyway, my thing is this. Yeah. So I like I said, I was morally I found it reprehensible, but then I come to the country and I find it even more reprehensible. So where I'm from in New York, women do not ask you for direct money. In fact, the last woman I slept with here in New York, when I came back, right? She ain't want no money. I ain't want to give her no money. You know what I'm saying? She just wanted good D, and that's all I had. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine. For me, that's exactly the way that I like it. I'm a cheap person. In Tanzania, it was a little bit different, right? People would beg you for money. People would ask you for money. People would request you money. Guys would request for you money. You understand? Now, I'm a firm believer that sex should be free, right? I'm a firm believer that sex should be free, and that's what I've done in New York. I would, I'll tell you guys truthfully. Last woman I messed with, we were texting each other. Now I didn't know. Now, honestly, in retrospect, she wasn't that good looking, so this is not going to be the best story. It's not really something I could brag about per se. But yeah, I say, hey, how about I come over to your place? She's like, no, I say, how about you come over to my place? She says, actually, I got something to do. Why don't you come to my place? I go over to her place, go to her house. Okay. Now I realize she's not as good looking as I thought she was, but that's okay. Go into her room. We spend a couple of hours. Okay. And then I get out, say, all right, have a nice one. And I never saw her again. Never talked to her again. I mean, yeah, pretty much just kind of not ghost, but kind of ghosted her. I ain't gonna hold you. because it wasn't like, not for me, right? I mean, there was other factors to it, you know. I don't want to say there were other factors to it, but basically there was no monetary exchange. And what happens is that a lot of women don't like when a guy hits and quits, smashes and dashes, you know, pokes and ghosts. I don't know, you know, they don't like that, and that's understandable. I mean, I didn't even like doing it. I don't usually do it per se, but like I said, you know, like things went kind of somewhere that I didn't want it to go. You know what I mean? It was my first time back in America. It was different. All the same, there's no money exchange whatsoever. Now, usually, like, let's say if she comes to my place, you might pay for her travel fare. You might pay for something to eat if she got hungry, right? But because I went to her place, it was just, just doop and go. You understand? The pokes and goes. You understand? Right? And that's fine. But in Tanzania, Tanzania, I did the same thing. So basically, here's what happened. I come into Tanzania. I go to a little building, right? And one of the brothers there is telling me, "Hey man, I can get you a lady for cheap for this amount of money." And I was like, "Negro, I don't pay no damn money for no women. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's some old beta shit. I'm not doing that, right?" Because like I said, I just came from New York, just came from America. And he's like, "Nah, man, you gotta pay." And I'm like, "No, like, that's on you. You gotta pay. Me, I'm gonna, I'm just gonna do it the way that we do it back, in America." So I meet this one woman. Now she was cute, she was cute. She wasn't really like she would probably be like a 7 out of 10. Okay, if we going by the things, right? She's good looking, really cute. I take her for dinner one time. Then I say, "How about we come back to my place tomorrow?" Okay. She's like, "Sounds good." And so that's cool, that's cool. So, and this is the way, and this is the thing that people don't even understand, is that there is this subreddit. So there's this website called Reddit. There's a subreddit called R Seduction. Okay, seduction. And so I studied a lot of it after after I got a divorce. And basically, it allows you, even here in America, to just meet a woman and get yourself some free sex. You know what I mean? Just meet a woman and get like, just be like, it tries to basically, before Kevin Samuels, there were these white guys who were telling you be a alpha man or be a high value man type thing, right? And that's the thing that I've known about for a long time. So like, tons of times, right? Me and getting with women relatively quickly wasn't a difficulty, that said, I meet this lady, get her dinner, and then I bring her back to my place. No. Then she travels to my place. She probably spends, I want to say $25 to come to my place. Okay? Like, round trip. $25 to come to my place round trip, because it's really far. The city is huge, and travel expenses are high in that country. Okay. Now, actually, I think she probably used a motorcycle, so maybe it wasn't $25. Maybe if I were to use it, it would have been $25. But still, it's pricey, right, for the locals, because like $150 is a good amount of money for a month. Okay, so we're talking 1/6. Either way, she. So I don't know if she particularly spent $25, but she spent, it would be the value of $25 at that point, right? I tell her to come over to my place. She spends 3 hours traveling to me, like 2 hours traveling to me, and then we have some good sex, obviously, right? She loves it, and then she goes and travels away and spends the rest of the $25 to go back home for 2 hours, right? And I'm sitting in my house, didn't give her nothing. Okay. Now at this point, I'm like, hey, look, I found the lady I want to be with. She knew who Marcus Garvey was. We had a nice date where we were having dinner in a restaurant. All that kind of stuff. It seemed like the woman to be, right. Then basically, she just kind of ghosted me. You know what I mean? She, not fully, because like I said, I still, laid the pipe game, right? But notwithstanding that, she was kind of like, I'm a little busy, because I think at some point she asked me, hey, can you send me a certain amount of money for, give me a give me a gift, And I was like, no, I don't fucking do that shit. That's some old, nah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't do that. Y'all know the song, I Got a Man, where the guy's like, where the woman's like, my man buys you things and he takes me out. And the dude, positive K says, well, you can keep your man because I don't go that route. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was my mindset. And so she's offended, kind of. Like, she's, oh, this dude just, this dude doesn't materially value me. You know what I mean? Now, for me, that's not a real concept because, again, I'm from New York where a woman would not ask you for money. You know what I mean? Unless she was down bad. People don't ask you for money unless they down bad. This woman was not down bad. She was middle class. I want to say a lawyer, She was not down bad. But at the same time, it's like, does she want to expend her relatively or even just objectively limited resources, or does she want to replenish them? So Lero says, what does it mean for a man to not materially value? And I mean, and that's really the like, I don't even want to say that's the question, but what I want to say is that it might have been a slip of the tongue, honestly, but again, you have to say to yourself, and I think we're going to talk about this right here in the article. I don't know, because I didn't read the article. That's why I'm kind of talking before I read the article, right? But the thing about the world is wealth is, I don't want to say wealth is health, although it rhymes, it sounds good. I'll say it this way. I want to explore in my next book how ancient Egyptians used to say Anku Jasenet. Okay? Ancient Africans used to tell each other Anku Jasenet. Pretty much, I wish you life, health, and wealth. Okay? Let me see. Life, wealth, and health, right? Uja is wealth, right? So life, you all know that. Uja, wealth, health, right? Those are the three important things in reality. Your life is important. This is what I want to teach my son. Well, that's what I'm teaching my son, right? Your life is important. Your health is important. And your wealth is important. Okay? Those are what people are pursuing in life. Why do you eat food? Why do you go to sleep? Why do you go to sleep at night? Why do you eat food in the morning? Okay? Why do you have sex? Sex is fun, sure. Sex helps you on a hormonal level. Sex is good for your health. That's why you have sex. You find the losers talking shit about, I had a lot of losers, a lot of haters on me yesterday. You guys check out Shoot the Breeze. A lot of fucking haters in the chat. Right? Actually, just two, but still. Actually three. But three too many, right? And I had some haters, a while back. Dude did did 3 podcasts, totaling 7 hours on hypersexuality. And said everything but my name. He said, the brother doesn't say the word pum pum. I don't know what pum pum means. Probably a new term. You're like, oh, it's I'm Jamaican, man. What's wrong with you? But anyway, let's just go into it. But realistically, what I want people to understand is that wealth is critical. And even the ancient Africans would say to each other, Anku Jasenem. Wealth is critical. Okay? And so when it comes to the question of what does it mean for a man to not materially value you? No. The real question is this. You live your life. and try to pursue good life, good health, and good wealth. Try to pursue Uncle Josh Seneb. So now you come into the situation of you're with a woman and she's like, and you're not improving her, and let's say you're hurting her wealth, you're hurting her health, you're even hurting her life. You're a fucking problem. Whereas if you are helping, now this is the dichotomy between helping and hurting. If you're helping her life, if you're helping her wealth, and you're helping her health, you're a good damn person. And that's what it really comes down to. If you understand, if you actually pay attention to the squabble that goes on in the West, because this squabble's not there in Africa, right? You understand the squabble that's going on in the West, the women are complaining the men are not helping them. That's what it is, fundamentally. The women are complaining the men are not helping them either in health, wealth, or life. If you want to get some serious help while you're in the West, you know who you go to, unfortunately? Unless it's a good brother, which they say is rare. Unless it's a good brother, if you want health, wealth, and life, a lot of women see you only for the sex you could give. They don't even look at you for the money you could give, because you ain't giving money. This woman was telling me that she was in Detroit and the dudes are asking for money from the women. And she's saying, well, the reason being is because the women outnumber the men. You know? And maybe that's true. I don't know. She's like, yeah, the men act like they hot shit. They even ask us for money. And it's like, okay, maybe I might have go. She's like, maybe I need to go down to Detroit, I guess. I don't know. Sounds like it. But women giving out money. I don't know. But at the same time, what I'm saying is that, like this woman completely turned herself off the dating market for years. Of course, I'm not going to hold y'all. I did, push the button, but it is what it is. Because all these, they don't call me Mimi Mbwa wa Tanzania for nothing. Okay. All right. Findings. Transactional sex underlay most non-marital relationships and was not. And look, this is not even just non-marital. This is like marital relationships too. But all right, transactional sex mostly non-marital relationships and was not per se perceived as immoral. You see what I'm saying? So these white scientists who study different cultures all over the world and read about different cultures and get degrees on how to read about different cultures, they are saying it's not perceived as immoral in Tanzania. Now, you in the West might perceive it as immoral because the white man told you it's immoral. How dare you? The white man, or you might see it as immoral because the white man goes over to Africa and does it. Okay. But they don't see it as immoral. And not only do they not see it as immoral, they're demanding it from you. Because again, you think that I want to open my pocketbook? You know what I'm saying? You think I want to open my wallet? No, I mean, everybody knows Oni's a motherfucking cheap ass. Everybody knows Oni's a motherfucking cheap ass. The only thing I buy is books. You know what I mean? I'm standing right here in front of a podium. Y'all know that this thing broke and I have to fix it my damn self? When the toilet breaks, you know who has to fix it? My black ass. You know what when cleaning needs to be done? You know who cleans it? Me. I don't pay nobody for none of that shit. I go down and fix the damn chimney. You know what I'm saying? I don't get a ladder. It's a 3-person job, and I'm there climbing down the ladder, right? Climbing down the rope, trying to tie it, make sure I don't fall and die. Why? Because I'm a cheap ass. So if I had to pay, damn well everybody's paying. And like I said, I had this video that I uploaded where this dude admits, I see you with all these bad women. I need to get some money so I could get some women. But it is what it is. Basically, it's the local thing. So he says, however, women's motivations varied. For instance, escaping intense poverty, seeking beauty products, or accumulating business capital. A couple of the women I messed with, most of them were accumulating business capital. They didn't want to do the transactional sex, but they saw it as a means towards an ends of getting business capital. And after I left the country, I just gave them the business capital. I said, how much money do you need to start your business? They said, I need so many shillings. I said, I got you. Now, granted, I do want to capitalize on that when I go back to Africa, but also I understand that I might not. because some of them I'm just like blocking because I'm just like, I don't even want to talk with you right now, you know, because I'm a fucking Pan-Africanist and you ain't on that level, you know, unfortunately, but it is what it is. I still gave them business capital, you know. A couple of women, I like one woman I remember I blocked her, but she was kind of also on that, you know, she was on that materialism. But if y'all saw her body, you would understand, you know, if y'all like the teacher from yesterday, you know, if y'all like the teacher from yesterday, you know, the yams from yesterday, I tell you that woman ain't had nothing compared to that woman. You know, the materialist lady. So it is what it is. But anyway, let me shout out to the chat because I see Trigger Happy's here. You know, I don't usually see Trigger Happy. So shout out to Trigger Happy. Shout out to Lero. Lero's obviously here. Lero with my lax sister. Bit of Medicine's here. Koku is here from yesterday. Y'all know how it was. And of course, RBG, Real Black Gentleman. You gotta shout out this brother. Lero says, man, I don't know how rare good brothers are. They ran into some bums, but it can't be as prevalent as folks make it seem. Lero, don't let us pull your card. Shit. Anyway. But yeah, no, but like good brothers is in brothers. Lero be telling, if y'all look, before I ever told my business, Lero been talking her business. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Lero be talking about breakups and shit. You know, Trigger Happy is talking about I had to come to the show after last night's show. Well, appreciate you, brother. Yeah, man, yo, the freaking haters, man. And my thing is this, y'all, people getting tight with me addressing the trolls, but these trolls come every week trolling me, and then nobody says nothing. But then as soon as I come back, Lero says, "My player, shit, don't shit." You know what I'm saying? Shit. Shit. You Lero shows us pictures of her grandmother. Like she be showing us everything. But anyway, I'm an open book. Ain't no shame around here. Okay. But anyway, about the good brothers. No, I'm telling you, like a good brother. So like, yeah, a good brother's. I mean, I could even say it this way. There's a African American song from 1912 or some shit like that. Okay? And it goes, and the lyrics are, a good brother, a good man is hard to find. Okay? That's not me making it up. That's like, unfortunately, the economics of the system is against, you know, good character, even among black folks. So, like, a guy like me, you know, does his damn thing. You know what I'm saying? A guy like me does his damn thing. You know, I'm generous. I'm generous and I'm helpful. You know, not every man is generous and helpful though, unfortunately. And I'm not like I don't know if y'all even paying attention to the chat yesterday. Y'all pay attention to the chat yesterday. Some of these dudes was talking about, like I said, look, I'm making a Swahili app, guys. You know, I'm not even asking for support. Doing it by my damn self, programming the whole thing from scratch. And this dude was like, I'm gonna go on and flag it, and I'm gonna try to sabotage it. Nobody support this thing. I hate you. This is a quote unquote functional black man. You know, and then if you also, I mean, look, I shouldn't even. But my point is, you gotta like, yeah. It's even the sisters. Like I could read you the text if you want. But even the sisters in Tanzania find it hard to find a good guy, you know? And it's even harder because a lot of the dudes is cheap. One thing that, so unfortunately this is transactional sex thing. So there's a market rate for transactional sex, right? I never paid the market rate. Okay, I always paid double the market. You understand? And again, it's not so much transactional sex as much as this is what a woman wants in a relationship. Like what she wants is, you know, give me the travel fee and let me get some pocket money to help, you know, feed myself. Like they don't call it transactional sex. They don't call it paying for sex. They just say you should help out. You should help a woman out. You should help people. That's it, right? You shouldn't be cheap. You shouldn't be stingy. And I'm telling you, like I learned that the hard way, you know? Like at one point I was living with this woman, bad woman, right? Now look, let me tell you all of this. Because I'll tell you, I mean, y'all don't even know how much of a G I am. Okay, I'm gonna say it this way. A woman was paying, like I had a woman living in my bedroom, you know, and she had a son in my living room, and she was paying me damn rent, and I was tapping that booty. Okay, And it wasn't like no small fry rent. It was Brooklyn ass rent. Okay? That's some cheap shit. I ain't gonna hold you. Now, when she started getting late on the rent, right? And started saying, well, blah, blah, blah. I did get her, like I did kind of, get a little bit too hype on, collecting rent, And so for that, I learned in my life, don't stress money, because money comes, money comes. You don't stress money, but at the same time, I want y'all to understand that that's the level that I was operating on, Leonard says, what? And I'll tell y'all everything. No, don't stop. Wait, what did I say? I just said that some woman paid me, basically paid me for sex. Like, paid me. But okay. Because people are like, yo, you're a simp. No, man, like the G shit I was doing, please. But anyway, accumulating, so he says, there was also strong pressure from peers to engage in transactional sex, in particular to consume like others, and avoid ridicule for inadequate remuneration, right? Macro, yeah, exactly. Like this is what's happening. This is what people can observe. Macro level factors shaping transactional sex, e.g. economic kinship and normative factors, overwhelmingly benefited men, but at a micro level, there was different dimensions of power. So let's see. Factors shaping. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the guys, I'm telling you, the guys were way cheap. Like, a lot of the guys were really, really cheap. And like me, I was like respectful, not cheap. And, I gave the women, some of the best. Shout out to, my brother's not here, but shout out to my brother Ghost. Is it Ghost? But like once upon a time, we used to be on Reddit, and we were talking about somebody asked, it was like a black forum. Somebody asked how they could perform better in the bedroom, and this brother said, "Look, man, when he started working out, when he started getting fit, he could perform for he could perform for hours." And I was like, really? At the time I wasn't, and so yeah, like I said, when I went to Tanzania, man, I had my fitness. I don't know about y'all, man, but that. Like, I think the sun there is the opposite of kryptonite. I feel like the sun there is the sun. Like how Superman went. Because I tell you, I was rolling back some eyes. You know what I'm saying? Getting claw marks on my back. You know what I'm saying? I gave. Jamaica got a reputation, and I lived up to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would tell people, yo, y'all know about Jamaica, right? You know what I'm saying? I'll tell them. Especially in that motherfucking weather. Like, that was. I mean, I was pretty damn good. Before that, I ain't gonna hold you, but I took it to a whole nother level. One woman I messed with, and this is the reason why I was messing with so many women. I'll tell y'all, because some of the women couldn't even keep up. One woman I was messing with, this woman, I'm telling y'all truthfully, had 8 fucking orgasms, and I only had one. One. I was pissed off, and I felt like how some women are feeling, where they're like, "Damn, this dude had an orgasm, I ain't have none." Or this dude had, 3 orgasms and I only had one. Like, I understand. Like, I understood that when I was there, because, like, yeah, some of them sisters was not doing what they needed to be doing. But at the same time, I was like, man, I gotta pay you for this? You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta pay you for you to have 8 orgasms while I have one? Like, nah, I'm pissed the fuck off. Like some of it was like, nah, next, and then it just became a matter of, trying to find a good woman. Now, I did find a couple of good women, but by the time I found them, I had to leave the country. You know what I mean? So like now, yeah. So like, because some of the women that you may mess with, they didn't even speak English. So that was a difficulty in and of itself. Oh, I should have showed y'all some more videos and pictures. My fault. But anyway, so macro level factors shaping transactional sex, overwhelmingly benefiting men. Now, I don't know what that means. It said it benefits men, but like I said, the men there were a little bit cheaper. So I'll give you guys an example. I went to a bar with my driver, and then now I didn't know this, but some of the women in the bars were actually like they were probably actually hookers. Like the women I was messing with were kind of just like. They were just kind of like dating. They were looking to be boyfriend. They were looking to be boyfriend, girlfriend. But they weren't looking to, give their body for free to a stranger. You know what I mean? But some women were just fucking hookers. I ain't gonna hold you. So so the brother would try to talk to them, and they would tell me a price, and the price that they would give me would be a price that's not expensive for me, but that's a price that they would give to a foreigner. And so this brother would then argue with them and tell them, look, you ain't even worth a 20th of what you asking him. And if you don't give him a third, like if you don't sell your body for a third of what he's asked, of what you said, then he's gonna walk away, and you're going to end up selling your body for a 20th anyway. So why don't you get a third instead of a 20th? And they're negotiating. He's just talking down to these ladies, and one of the ladies almost agreed. Of course, and I would have paid her the price she asked for, because I was like, I don't give a shit, like that's baby money for me. But like that's the world that they existed in. I was pretty much the nice guy. I was pretty much that's what you want, that's what you get. And again, if we talk about what exploitation means, right? Exploitation is not somebody asks for something and then you give them that. That's not exploitation. Exploitation is when you don't give them what they ask. You know what I mean? That's what exploitation is. But like exploitation would be like if I didn't pay at all, which is something that some women have experienced. Some women said that when they, go to a guy's house, they agree to certain terms, and then the guy would, have sex and then steal from them and leave, Or in other cases, one woman was saying that, this guy was telling me that he knew this woman who some guys were like, hey, I'll pay for the both of you, X amount of money, and actually more the money than I usually would give, but, X amount of money. But also near the amount of money. Well, not as much money as I've given some women, whatever, right? And he was like, yeah, he paid for both of them. And he said, I'm just going to go to the, I'm just going to go to the bathroom. And he left his clothes, in the room. And then he just left. And left both of the women in the room. So it's like that right there is exploitation. If a woman says, hey, look, I'll do so-and-so for this, that's not exploitation. That's just business. That's just a transaction. And it includes sex, but again, if you don't see it as immoral, and it's not really immoral, it's just like the same as, you flipping burgers, right? If you don't see it as anything deeper than that, then what exactly are people complaining? Like, unless you were from the Victorian era or what have you, unless you were, oh my gosh, she's showing her ankles, then like who cares, Anyway, so I'll just articulate into that. Overly benefit men, but at micro level, there was some different dimension of power stemming from the individual attributes and immediate circumstances, some of which benefited women. Young women actively use their sexuality as an economic resource, often entering into relationships primarily for economic gain. Transactional sex is likely to increase the risk of HIV by providing a dynamic for partner change, making more affluent, higher risk men more desirable, and creating further barriers to condom use. Behavioral intervention should directly address how embedded transactional sex is in sexual culture. Now, again, a lot of the women that I messed with, they were like a lot of women actually were pretty abstinent usually, But anyway, let's see. Lero says, "Woman paid you for the D. She paid your bills. Oh my, save my sister." Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Like that's. Wait a minute, I know a pimp when I hear about one. I don't know who's the pimp. Am I the pimp? No, I wasn't pimping up to anybody else. I was just, she was my, like I told y'all about an ex-girlfriend I had who was really bad financially. And so after she was really bad financially, I told her she should go, like she was losing her house. And so I told her, why don't you go move in with your parents? Because like if you're losing your house and shit, and she's pretty much asking me, can you like provide some, like can you help me with the rent type shit? And I was helping her with her rent at some point, but at some point it got too much. You know what I mean? So she was losing her job. She tried another job, and things didn't go well for her, and so she ended up going to a shelter with her son. But before that, I was telling her, you shouldn't, blah, blah, blah. And then I think I was trying to help her to sell some of her furniture online. And then I was looking through her phone type thing. Like I just happened to be on her phone. Oh yeah, so what happened was she took pictures of the furniture to sell on an app, right? And so I was looking through the pictures of her furniture sale or whatever, right? This is my girlfriend, okay? So I'm looking to upload a picture, and then I see that she has some pictures with another dude, you know? Now, they're not really doing anything, kind of. Like, I think they might kiss or some shit like that, right? And at the time, I was like, you know, I had to ask my boy. I was like, yeah, I think this woman's like cheating on me, right? And so I was like, yup, can't mess with this no more, right? Because at the time, like I said, I was you know, a monogamous one guy, and you know, she communicated being a monogamous one man guy, woman, like a guy, right? So yeah, I found out she might have been cheating. Now she says it was just a kiss, but still, it's like, nope, too bad. Because you know, my boy was in my ear like, ain't no way it was just a kiss, man. You know, he clapping them cheeks because she had some cheeks. You know, she has some nyash, right? Texas woman. You know, everything's bigger in Texas, right? So she, so I say, okay, forget it. You know, like I'm not trying to help you no more. We over, right? She ends up in a shelter. So then a few months later, honestly, I'll tell you guys, my mother passed away, right? And I had to pay for certain expenses, so I needed a little cash. And she was like, hey, you know what? You know, if you need some cash, you know, I'm actually, you know, I'm still in the shelter, but I got some good jobs lined up and all that kind of stuff. And therefore, blah, 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 blah. And so, yeah, she moved in. So then I was like, okay, sure. You could use my bedroom. You know, I got a foyer and all that shit. You can, you know, your son can stay there and we could see how that work out, you know? And for the most part, it was working out pretty well. Like I said, she was paying me some good money, you know, and I charged her a little more because she owed me money for her rent from Jump. So I was charging her some Brooklyn rent and I was getting it while, you know, every day getting that nyash, you know? But like I said, like that was me getting paid to mess with a woman, you know? Like Lero said, I had a woman paying for my damn bills. So of course I was not like my whole MO is not to go to motherfucking Africa and pay women. Like what? I don't want to do that. But and I'll tell y'all the truth. One of the things, in fact, me and the sister just got into it yesterday because you know I was a little tight, I guess. But we got into it yesterday where she's like, well, I think she asked me for ice cream. She was like, hey, can you send me some ice cream? And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever, right? But she's like, you know, even if I'm independent, and I said, no, look, I'm in my culture, not really, but you know, I'm just bullshitting. You know, when you talk to foreigners, you're not foreigners. When you talk to people from other countries, you pretend like you got a culture different from theirs. But I said, look, giving a person a fish is a bad thing. Teaching a person to fish is a good thing. So I'm okay with giving a woman money so that she's economically independent and she don't ask me for no damn money. I'm okay with paying a lot up front than a little one and a one. I don't want to pay one. I'd rather I'd rather buy the cow and get the milk for free. Okay, that's what I want to do. I want to buy the cow and get the milk for free. I don't want to buy the milk. So a lot of these women that I messed with, I that's what I do. I just give them. Well, that's what I did after I left the country. I just give them. So now they are convinced that I'm their boyfriend. You know what I mean? They're convinced that I'm their boyfriend. And they are not trying to mess with no other guys and all that kind of crap. And that's fine by them. But, you know, me, I tell them straight up, I ain't going to just mess with you because I don't even understand what you say half the time. You know what I'm saying? I'm joking. They speak good English, but, like, they still not Pan-Africanists. Me personally, I got to find me a Pan-Africanist. I ain't going to hold y'all. So anyway, transactional sex is likely to, yeah. So anyway, introduction. So this is a pretty big article. I don't know if I'm going to read all of it, but pretty big article. So it says the exchange of sex for money or gifts in sub-Saharan Africa has been widely reported. And that's what I'm saying. We imagine that it's not. I mean, of course, we might also say that, you know, some of us acknowledge and we don't like it, the rent-a-rasta and, you know, passport bros and passport hoes, you know, or just regular white folk going to different countries. But at the same time, it's like, this was a shock for me. This was a shock for me. Because again, like begging and shit is not something that we do here in New York. You know what I mean? Like it's not something that we do. Like even the woman who even the woman, like I said, best I could have done for this lady was, okay, I'll charge you rent. You know what I mean? So anyway, the exchange of sex for money or gifts in sub-Saharan Africa has been widely reported. It is generally interpreted as a consequence of women's poverty and economic dependence on men. Many have noted that impoverishment deters women from negotiating safer sex and makes younger women vulnerable to the enticements of older men or sugar daddies. And like, this is true too. So I never messed with any of these women who were like dirt poor. There was a lot. Like I said, I had this driver who started driving me around, and if y'all could see the streetwalkers, it was shameful. Like they weren't even in good shape. These were women who gave up on life, and there's a lot of people who just kind of give up on life. And so it was bad. I wasn't messing with them. You know what I mean? I was pretty much messing with women on Tinder or messing with women that I picked up day game. And I gotta admit though, the day game women, now that I think about it, there was 2 women that I got with day game. Well, I don't know if there was only 2, but 2 of them I got with day game, they actually didn't want any money, which is weird. I gave them money because they were so damn good. You know what I'm saying? I gave them money because they were so damn good. They were like, oh, I don't want money. You're like, oh, okay. Now, it turns out one of them had a fiance, which is like, that's just my day game. And the other one was like really like sickly. And so she like I just had to give her money. You know? Like I got to the point, by the time I met these women, I got to the point where I was like, you did it so damn good. If I gave the other lady this much, I gotta give you more. Period. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. Yeah, as far as the question, I know somebody probably already heard that, said, wait, you messed with a woman who had a fiance? Shit. I didn't really fully understand it, but I mean, again, y'all gotta understand. So like 6 foot is not that big a deal in America. It's a pretty damn good. It's a pretty like I was actually pretty physically damn good in that country. You know, like when you think about how people are just shorter in that country. Like the average male height is like 5'8". Like I was pretty much a damn athlete, you know? And it reminds me of one time, this is a Harsh Reality, one of the Harsh Reality podcasts, they were talking about this, I can't remember that dude's name, but he was like a Nigerian who like messed with a married woman on the basketball team or something like that. And yeah, the brothers over in Harsh Reality were talking about, of course he's gonna get this other guy's wife. Of course he's gonna get that white boy's wife. He's tall, muscular, intelligent, you know, Nigerian man, you know, with money. Like, of course he's gonna get, you know, a white man's wife. You know? And that's like what it is. In the real world, it's like you don't bring your woman around a bunch of, you know, male Zulu warriors. like you don't leave her alone with a bunch of male Zulu warriors. Now, I didn't know she had a fiance at the time. Just like I didn't know this other lady was so on and so forth. And if I knew, I probably wouldn't have went for it. Although the sister with the fiance, she was bad. Okay, she was bad. Really bad. Like, oh, you know, like for a long time I was thinking that's the woman I want to marry. You know, so I don't blame Mr. Fiance for a thing. But like I don't blame him for trying to marry her. But yeah. Anyway, sure. Maybe Larry was right. I'm probably talking about too much. What do you mean no? He said no sound. Nah, it got sound. Maybe it plugged out for a second. Some other thing. Leto says only what? I don't know what she's talking about. What's only what? Brother Bakari says peace and black power, Brother Bakari. Leto says, what do you be telling us and have the nerve to speak on me? Leto, chillax. Oh, Brother Bakari, this is a long ass podcast. This might be I'm probably gonna cut it off for a minute, but I don't think I could because I know how y'all be. Y'all be true. Hashtag Team Black be go. Well, actually, Britta Message too. Y'all be doing like 6 hours, 7 hours. My thing is that when I do my podcast, I stand the entire time, so I can't whatever. And plus, you know how it is. All right, let me just read it before this brother get hype. Let's see. However, several detailed studies have suggested that material exchange for sex or transactional sex is not always engaged in through immediate material need. Many Senegalese prostitutes in the Gambia were reported to be from non-impoverished families, while Tanzanian Haya women practice prostitution were reported to both poor and relatively well off. In southern Uganda, so now they just call it prostitution, right? But again, in southern Uganda, secondary school girls were reported to exchange sex. Okay, so that's, obviously that's weird. Exchange sex to pay for necessities their parents couldn't afford, but half of those in a qualitative study said that whatever their affluence, they would not have sex for free. Exactly. Well, I mean, again, the whole schoolgirls part, it's like, okay, I'm not, like, I just skip over it, like, fuck it. All right, so but this would be humiliating since the gift rubs off the cheapness of being used, right? Yeah, the gift rubs off I don't know why they quoted the secondary. That's just too young. Right. In Mwanza, Tanzania, girls are said to negotiate sexual deeds to their own advantage. And in Dar es Salaam, many young women who have experienced abortions were found to be active social agents, entrepreneurs, and deliberately exploit their partners. So they exploit their partners. And no self-respecting woman would have sex for free. Hunter argues that the transactional sex is KwaZulu-Natal is attributable to gender and material inequalities, a particular construction of masculinity, but also the agency of women themselves. So this person is in Africa. They're saying, actually, it's the women have their own agency. Guys are not having sex with them against their will, one. And two, they're having sex according to the price that they've negotiated. While Leclerc Madala argues that in Durban, women see transactional sex as a normal part of sexual relationships motivated to acquire the commodities of modernity. Recent study contrasted policymakers' views of transactional sex in rural Malawi as driven by survival needs with the view of the rural women themselves, who said that they also motivated by attractive consumer goods, passion, and revenge. In a review of both quantitative and qualitative studies of age and economic asymmetries in young women's sexual relationships, Liu concluded that girls have considerable negotiating power over certain aspects of sexual relationship with older men, including partnership formation and continuation. However, they have little control over sexual practices within partnership, including condom use and violence. So again, this is the negative. So there's a positive for girls and there's a negative for girls, but I'm not doing the negative. You understand? So it's just a positive. It's just a W for them. And I remember a lot of women, I would say, like I would sometimes say, why? I would sometimes ask them why, like I would pay them obviously, but I would say, why do I have to pay? And they say, well, you're not my boyfriend, so why would I give you sex for free? You understand? Like I just met you. Why am I giving you sex for free? Now in America, women would, they would just meet you and have sex for free. Why? Because they think you got it. They think you could do what you got to do. They want the sex, and the women have money already. The women in America have money already. They don't need your money. Now the women here, they might not need your money either, but your money helps. If I give a woman, like I said, if $150 is how much you earn in a month, right? And I give you $20, I just gave you a lot of money. If you're in America, you earn, I don't know, $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, $4,000, $5,000 a month. $20 shit's not gonna do nothing for you. It's not gonna do nothing for you. It's like, okay, well, thanks. And here's the thing too, like if you send a woman $20, $100, she's still gonna be grateful in America. The other day, I just bought some woman some food. I didn't even, and she was like, hey, thanks, But it is what it is. Let's see what Bakari. Let's see. Only the brother already said you're hypersexual. You already know. Ime Udoka, light skinned Nigerian. Yeah, he said if you're a light skinned Nigerian, 6 foot, you already don't bring your girl around this dude. Don't leave your girl with him. Now look, I don't encourage men to mess with, other men's men, because again, that's what Ptah Htp talks about. Ptah Htp says, do not go to a man's house and sleep with the women in his house. Like, if you're invited to a man's house, do not mess with the women in his house. A little broke, Laro, me go like what? Like what kind of nonsense is that? Me go broke? Anyway, me go me? Nah, never. But remind me of y'all ever see Boondocks where they said, Riley, is there anything you can't do? He's like, I can't go broke. That's it. Like that's it. That's my life. Anyway, but Ime Doka, yeah, like you can't whatever. I'm not saying mess with nobody else's woman, right? Of course, I didn't speak the language, so I didn't know that they were other people's women. And of course, these women were like, they kept it from you. You can't really say much about that. But as far as that's concerned, yeah, it's still not responsible for you to leave your woman with another man. You know what I mean? Now he might overstep, and that you might have to take care of him for that. But it's not really responsible. Granted, I think that you can leave your woman around other men. I'm not saying that you know, like obviously you could build community, you could so on and so forth. And you know, I think that's a good way for life to be. Like I said, there's the ideal and the real. But I'm mostly talking about leaving your woman with perfect strangers who owe nothing to you. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, if you're not a part of a community, which you know you probably aren't, yeah, that perfect stranger, you know, that plumber, you know, might be clearing some pipes. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Brother McCarty said, oh, your brother already said you're hypersexual. I know, man. He just went for like things. He said, I just wanted to troll you for a second about the live dude did about you. Man, the dude did a 7-hour live. 7 hours talking about how I'm a thing. Bit of Medicine said I can't find that channel. Yeah, it's on another platform. I don't even want to link it because it's yeah, it was on Instagram and it was on he has it on another website. But like, yeah, like, cause I tell you, I was listening for like an hour and 30 minutes. Brother's not saying nothing. You can't fast forward it. The dude, I mean, he did put out some interesting books like Del Jones and stuff. But like the way how he's just getting on me, like you would think he was one of the women I mess with. Like, and here's the thing about this brother. I want to tell y'all this, man. This brother's like, yeah, you know, I smoke pot, and yeah, I have a porn addiction, and yeah, I'm married. Like, he's a porn addiction while he married, and all that kind of stuff. But this dude's a degenerate. Like, shut the fuck up, man. You the fucking one who's spanking it while your wife is spanking it. I shouldn't talk about no man's wife, actually, but still, like, come on, man. Anyway, oh, it was Instagram. Been trying to find it on YouTube. It was on Instagram and this other website. It's not on YouTube though. But like on the other website, it's a thing. But like, yeah, the dude was just like who does that? Anyway, so as the Zalduando and Bernard have argued, attributing transactional sex to economic activity implies an apology for sexual economic exchange where none is needed. The inference that all instances of sexual economic exchange are inherently demeaning and thus probably involuntary seems to underline an undifferentiated treatment of the topic in the public health literature. You see what I'm saying? He's like, stop looking at it like Wazungu, like you're from the fucking 1400s, and look at it for what it is. One of the women, now I did mess with one woman who was probably, like she was a motherfucking, like I mean, I'm not gonna hold you. I'm not gonna, like some of the women were like they were looking to be boyfriend, girlfriend, but they were like, I can't have sex for free with a stranger. You know what I mean? Some women were escorts, and some women were just damn hoes. I did mess with one, or maybe two, maybe three, maybe three hoes, right? Maybe. But the first hoe I messed with, and I messed with her because somebody said, you can't say this transactional sex unless you mess with a hoe. Now they said later, they were joking, but I was like, you know what, they right. I can't talk about how it is with the hoes unless I mess with a hoe. And I actually get tested right after that. But like when it came to that particular hoe, this woman bought a fucking cafe. Like she was doing it to buy a cafe in Tanzania. Like her motivation behind that was, I'm actually I employ 3 other women and we sell, you know, biscuits and baguettes and shit like that, you know, to travelers. That was her motivation. Like she earned quite a bit of shillings, and she was doing that for that, you know. It wasn't on that, oh, you know, hold on a second. Yeah, it wasn't on that. Oh, I can't. Shit, I can't do nothing. It was so on and so forth. It was more on that. I just need some additional capital so that my business can be self-sufficient and self-sustaining, so that I don't have to sell my body, because life is tough. Or not that life is tough, but like, if you don't own a business and work is hard to find, then you should try to own a business. And that's just general, like, in life. And I think that might be something that happens in America. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. But like yeah, so I could just say that. Lero says, "Oh, crazy. He was going in on only for having sex." Yeah, it's weird, man. I'm not spending 7 minutes antagonizing another man. 7 hours? 7 damn hours. Like 3 different podcasts talking about, oh, look at this book. And he's like, you're not a man if you don't turn down sex. Dude has a porn addiction. The fuck are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? The fuck are you talking about? Like, dude has a porn addiction. He's like, and he says that he like cried a lot during the pandemic. He said he cried a lot during the pandemic and, was smoking pot most of the time. It's like, shut the fuck up. And he's a married man. A grown damn married man having a 7-hour podcast. 3 fucking podcasts that total 7 hours. Tell me that he cries a lot and how I'm not a man, but he's a man. And I didn't go through initiation, but he has initiation. Like, what initiation did you go through, my guy? I want to know what initiation you went. Like, it's just some old clown shit. Like, I can't stand. Like, he's like, you might be having sex with women, but are you having spiritual sex with women? And I'm telling you guys, like, that's why I'm talking about the difference between reality and imagination. Because like Negroes, they pick up a book, they pick up what's his name? What's the guy's name? The guy who's always talking about sovereignty, right? They pick up one of his books, and then all of a sudden they think that they're and like I said, that's the thing about I call it American black nationalism. But that's the thing about American black nationalism, is that they always have this holier than thou. You are bad and I am good. Y'all are wrong and I am right. They always have that sort of mentality instead of just like being amid the people. I'm in Africa 3 months mingling with the people, following the customs. And you might be like, well, the custom it's immoral in my eyes because I believe. And it's like, real researchers are going down to Africa. Real researchers are going to Africa and saying the people don't see it as immoral. The women are trying to accumulate capital so that they can be independent rather than dependent. And if you are giving them more than the market rate, if you're giving them tips and bonuses, right, and you're giving them orgasms, what the fuck is somebody complaining about for you? Like you're doing everything right as a man. I tell you, man, y'all shit. Like 4 damn businesses. 4 or 5 different businesses. Matter of fact, if you look at the record, I had like 5, 6 businesses I invested in Tanzania. And by investment, I mean like big capital. I don't want to say how much money because, I don't want to be flexing on my money, right? But we're talking about big capital for 5, 6 women, right? And dudes are sitting back crying, because there's a pandemic. Crying because there's a pandemic, right? Getting high and spanking the monkey with his wife right there, watching. And he gonna sit down and talk about you for 7 damn fucking hours, saying everything but your damn name. And it's like, look, put some motherfucking hair on your chest and say the damn name then. Say the damn name so I can call you the fuck out. This is a piece of fucking shit. With a bald head. That's the thing. Oh no, don't disrespect the Bakari. I know Bakari don't got no hair on his head neither. But like, that's the thing that happens. Brothers with bald heads, they always. I mean, look, no disrespect to Bakari, but Bakari old. He's not old, but But like, I remember I was in the airport, and I was late for my flight. Okay, and I'm flipping out. So I tell this guy, I say, hey man, like he stops everybody. Like he basically, I'm like, hey, can I cut in front of, like, can I go ahead because I'm late for my flight. And he goes, everybody's late for their flight. Right? And then as we advance a little further, the guy, you know how sometimes they like cut off before, like, you know, they say these many people could go on this line and these people had to wait. He stopped right in front of me. And so the guy behind me said, it's because he's bald and you got all that hair. And that's what I like people like bald dudes. I don't know what it is. No, this is like, it's not Bakari. So it's not all bald dudes, but a lot of times bald dudes just be on that shit. Especially when you come with a full head of hair. Like, it's like, oh shit. I'm not saying this dude even knew I had a full head of hair, but he probably could hear that I got a full head of hair. You know what I'm saying? Let me see what this is. Bit of medicine said polite. Yeah. Bunch of not polite. It starts with a B. I can't remember. He's the one who writes like he's like on that, because this dude's on that straight black pride thing. And I'm telling you, man, I like straight black pride kinda, but y'all be going too much. Like y'all be following these homosexuals. Hey, look at this white man dancing on these white children. I tell you, the end of the world. You're like, no, crack. Like, no, I ain't gonna look at no motherfucking white man. There's no some white children. My thing is, let the motherfucking trannies do what they do. Like, let them destroy the fucking country. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all, they be like posting around, man. Look at this last tranny video. No, what this dude got a porn addiction? He's looking at these tranny shits all day. Fucking weirdo. Anyway, Oni, your spirit should have had sex. Yeah, exactly. My spirit should have came. Yo, Brother Carson, I hate y'all doing it. Y'all tell me, man, we just sound different. We got hair on our chest, hair on our heads. You know, we just fucking monsters. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, Oni said, yeah, he said your spirit should have. Yeah, exactly. Like, yo, my spirit didn't leave my body to intermix. Like, what are y'all fucking like? It's the imagination for me. You know what I mean? It's the imagination for me. Yeah, I mean, look, they go hard. The thing about straight black pride, they might, like, it's just weird, man. Like, at some point, it becomes an obsession. You know, me, it's like, look, I don't want no queer blacks around me and mine. That's pretty much it. If there are white, like, I'm not hating on no white queers. I'm not gonna hold you. I think white queers make the white man weaker. You know what I mean? So I'm actually like, yeah, you know, dress in that dress, kid. You know what I'm saying? Cut off your balls, man. Like I say, man, you cut off your balls, man. Post-op or pre-op. Well, I hope you got a successful operation, man. Cut off your damn dick, man. Fucking idiot. That's what I tell them. You know what I mean? And people be like, well, you know, it's gonna affect those black people. It ain't really. You know? Only a handful of black fools, but you know, it's like you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. You know what I'm saying? Let's just call some Stalin. But anyway, should have paid with spirit coin. Yeah, these motherfuckers, man. Let them call me a big baller. You already know. But it is what it is. Now, what's the people that straight? Like it's some. I think it starts with B or an S. He writes complementarity, that kind of book. But like that dude, like I don't know. Like. A lot of people in America, they kind of like they read him. Like a lot of the Black American activists, scholars type, they like shaming and talking down to black folk. You know, y'all gonna see I don't do that. I don't shame or talk down to black folk. You know what I mean? And that's where I kind of have that division, cause it's like, you know, you got to be holier than thou. You got to see sex as some spiritual, you know, oh, my spirit comes out and jumps at you and all that kind of stuff. Whereas, you know, I will tell you, look, man, it's about the catharsis. It's the catharsis for me. It's about the release. It's the orgasm for me. It's about getting that woman to be like, okay, you know, like I had like a couple of women want to marry me just off of the pipe. You know what I'm saying? I'm a copy my man's exploits. You know, in the sense of, yeah, some women like that. I ain't gonna hold you, but anyway, let me go back. Anthropological Review noted that the predominantly neutral attitude to prostitution in sub-Saharan Africa and a relatively instrumental view of sex within marriage, it is filiation of children rather than payment in cash, which distinguishes wives, prostitutes, and others. This fits overview that sex is seen as a service which women render to men in return for cash and support. Now, again, I'm not going to say it's this far that sex is a service that women render to men. I don't see that. I'm going to say that it goes back to wealth and health, right? As in, if if a woman is not well to do, like I'll say it this way. A woman asks me, I say, how much money do you want? Right? And then she would say, how much do you have? Okay? And so if I say, oh, I only have so much, she would say, okay, I want so much. All right, let's say it this way. Let's put it this way. Let's say I say I only have, this is a theoretical example. Okay? So all right, so the normal rate in Tanzania for like depending on what class of woman I shouldn't give you guys the prices, but it's pretty cheap. So but I want to say it this way. If I were to tell a woman, oh, I only have 100,000, she would say, oh, okay, well if you only have 100,000, then let me get like 10,000 or something like that, which is dirt fucking cheap. And I'm not saying this is a real example, right? However, if you told a woman, oh, I only have 10 million, then she would say, oh, okay, then let me get $1 million. And I'm not saying that's always 10%. I'm just saying that people looked at like relationships as, oh, okay, well, I'm not like you wouldn't miss $1 million if you had 10 million, you know? And just the same, you wouldn't miss, but if you had only 100,000, then you probably can't afford to give me much. You know what I mean? And so I actually like the earlier view from the anthropological review. They said, not just predominantly neutral, but they said like between sex, the difference between sex and marriage was children, not payment. You know, the wife and the prostitute expect more from people who have more. The wife and the prostitute expect more from people who have more. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize, that if you are married to a woman, she expects that you will provide for her. And the same as a woman who's giving you her body, she expects that you will provide for her in some degree. Especially if you eventually become her boyfriend, girlfriend. Like I could tell y'all, I got a text yesterday from this woman who said, hey, you're my boyfriend, so, you know, you should give me some gifts every once in a while and all that kind of stuff. And then I was just like, who the fuck said I was your boyfriend? You know what I'm saying? But I was me being a little rude. I ain't gonna hold y'all. But it's like, of course she apologized, I apologize, all that kind of stuff. But like, this is the real observation. And then there's the imagination, which is there's no cash exchange. But like, you ask a man, hey, are you providing for your wife? And he'll say absolutely. He'll say absolutely. And then I was watching this movie. Now, if you're talking about things that I would never fucking print, or I'll never say, or actually I guess I would, because I'm one of them guys. But I decided, I'm reading this other book, and this book, mad corny. But at some point they say, they mention the movie, The Pursuit of Happiness, with Will Smith in it, right? And they say the guy who wrote that book was a good guy. So I decided to watch that movie. It wasn't a good movie. But it's interesting because I didn't notice about Will Smith. Will Smith does play, from what I can gather, he does play some positive black men occasionally, right? I mean, even if he slaps the shit out of one of them, right? But the thing about the movie, though, is the beginning of the movie, the man's wife leaves him to get a better job somewhere else because she is supporting his life. Because she's basically working 2 shifts while he's like pretty much just like he's a fucking loser, you know? In the movie, the dude has a 5-year-old, and this is something I would not tell anybody. He's a 5-year-old, and then he ends up going to the shelter. He ends up one day sleeping in a fucking in a locked bathroom, a bathroom stall in like a Subway or some shit, with his 5-year-old son. He just demands that the woman not take the kid, even though she's paying all the bills and all that kind of stuff. But the point is that she is frustrated by his inability to take care of them. And of course, when things were looking good for him, she was okay with him. And when things were looking bad to the point where she's working 2 shifts in order for the kid to eat, and she has to leave work because he's like making these appointments and he's not making business for himself and all that kind of stuff, right? She's fucking irked. And like, that's the real world. Now he's pissed off at her, like, how dare you leave me, or how dare you, so I might not be able to pay for anything. You might be paying for my whole life. You might be working 2 jobs, but how dare you leave me? And it's just like, you're being like men have to wake the fuck up. Men have to wake the fuck up. If you have a wife, you provide for her. And a woman wants to be provided for, whether she's a girlfriend or whether, and like, a woman's not gonna just get, and a woman doesn't want to just give you sex for free. Cause sure, like I have this one of the sisters, she said that she gave sex to some guy and he didn't give her anything, and she was like, a lot of women get upset over that, especially if the guy ghosts you, because it's like, damn, was I bad or some shit, But anyway, so let me see the comment. Mwalimu Baruti, yeah. I mean, I like the brother commented on one of my plays, so I like him generally. But like a lot of his disciples, like a lot of them got that, not just him, but like I said about a lot of the American black nationalists, a lot of them have that, holier than thou mentality, like they just kind of like insult black people for a living or some shit, and it's just corny. It's like, go out and build, go out and support people, go out and do something. Don't just insult people and tell them how good you are, but also say that you cried during a pandemic. Like, like I can tell you, I did a lot of shit during the pandemic. I did not cry. I did not cry. You know what I'm saying? But okay. And this dude didn't just cry. He like cried a lot. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, what are you fucking crying about? Anyway, the analytics about the situation hit different, LOL. They go after the underbelly. But like I said, man, like I don't care about, my thing is I don't care about analytics. I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I don't care about, oh man, this white man is gonna, like, I don't, like, to let the white man do what the fucking white man is gonna do. What are you doing? Like people be like my thing is like, yo, the black, like, I'll tell you, man, the way that China be kicking fucking ass and taking fucking names, like, I respect that. Like, China don't be going on white supremacy. China be like, yo, man, this white man ain't shit. That's what I want to fucking hear. Putin, even Putin, who's a fucking white man, but he's like, yo, look at their military and look at ours. Look how they got queers in their military. Look how ours is just a bunch of men working out, like fucking shooting folk and stuff. Like that's what I want. SBP only interviews and talk to white nationalists now. They say white nationalists gonna fight the Jews for them. I don't mess with SBP no more. Oh, I don't know. I ain't followed them in like forever. Real talk. But I know that dude was SBP, so I was like, you know what? If they on that no shit thing, if he on that, I'm gonna talk 7 hours about hypersexuality. Like, saw people yesterday, you could do all these other shit, and they're like, well, but you had sex with women who wanted you to pay them. Like, who wanted you to have sex with them and wanted you to give them money. Okay. Like you forget everything in order to just focus on that. But okay. Okay, not familiar. Straight Black Pride, man. Brother Bakari says, Straight Black Pride, I used to rock with them, but when they refused to interview or talk to us, only white nationalists, so it really Straight Black Pride. Oh. It was started by Irritated G. Oh, that's Irritated Cheating. Yeah. Okay. Buana says, morning, what you rambling about this morning, Oni? Every time Buana show up, it smells like oxtail and rum. This dude he just reek of oxtail and rum on that tether shit. Anyway, I just want to say, the tendency for the issue of sexual exchange to become polarized, in particular, given the let me just say this for Buana right here. Relatively instrumental view of sex within marriage. It is filiation of children rather than payment in cash, which distinguishes wives and prostitutes and others. And that's another thing I want y'all to point out too. A lot of the women that I messed with, including here in America, honestly, a lot of them sometimes be like single mothers. I didn't expect the single mother phenomenon to be a thing in Africa, but like it was, like, it is a thing in Tanzania, where like a lot of guys would just leave the women to provide for the kids themselves. And the thing is, it's different from America and Tanzania, which when I first came to Tanzania, I was like, yo, this is like at first I was thinking, this is the African American stereotype. Not only was everybody always late, but like, there was no damn child support in the country. Like, no child support in the country. Like, you use the word child support and they're like, what is that? And I'm like, yeah, you gotta, like, if you have a child with a woman, you have to pay her, like you have to give the woman a certain amount of percentage of your money every month or something, like every week or something like that, or whatever you know, every year, whatever, right? And they were like, no, that's not a thing. So a lot of the women that I messed with who had kids, the father gives no material support, like nothing. Like you know how they say Black American men at least, you know, are the most participatory in their children's lives. Like this is not even the case over there. Matter of fact, I could actually read this sister's. Let me not. But this sister wrote me a text about, yeah, you know, like she's pretty much on her own, but she got like a 2-year-old, you know? And so I give her like I said, I give her a freaking bar, you know, where she spends most of her days now, you know? But nobody says, people, you're exploiting her. How? And she's like, I can't wait for you to come to Tanzania so I could, you know, because they liked me. They liked me, you know, physically, and they liked me materially. What can I say? But all right, let's see. Tendency for the issue of sexual exchange to become polarized, in particular, given the essentialization spawned by debate over Caldwell's African sexuality thesis, makes it easy to overlook that there are generally several overlapping motivations for sex. Although this paper is concerned with material motives, we do not want to suggest that if they exist, they are to the exclusion of other motives such as physical pleasure, reproduction, self-esteem, love, or establishing and maintaining relationships for other non-material reasons. Settle's ethnography from Kilimanjaro region, Tanzania, provides a detailed analysis of how these diverse motives shape sexual relationships. So look at this. They say even though there is transactional sex, they exist, but not to the exclusion of other motives. So the women are looking for physical pleasure. Like they're looking for money. They're also looking for physical pleasure. They're looking for reproduction. One of these women was like, let's have kids. Like she wanted to adopt a kid with me. And I was like, pause on that. I had to actually yell at her for that because I was like, ain't no way. But you know, self-esteem, love, establishing and maintaining relationships for non-material reasons. Like a lot of these women, I'm telling you. Now, again, I would recommend Day Game. You know, Tinder is probably not the best place, but I think I showed y'all when I was in Ghana that Tinder, you know, like it was just blowing up. And so in Tanzania, it was also blowing up. And like, it wasn't just for money, but like, it's like a woman can't justify having sex with a stranger who has no commitment to her without money. You know what I mean? Because the stranger like doesn't need to, you know, have sex with her again. And like a lot of women weren't even that good at sex. You know, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's the thing I want to point out too. Because that's the thing that we don't get. I want to point this out, right? So there's the market rate. This was a conversation I had when I was in Tanzania, right? So first off, you can't use the word exploitation for any sort of monetary exchange. You have to look at the market to determine whether something is exploitation. So here's what happened when I was in Tanzania. I was in Tabata. I was in this woman's house, right? And they offered me a meal plan. Okay? They said, hey, look, if you spend I think it was maybe 20,000 shillings, right, a day, right, we'll give you and your son dinner and breakfast. Well, dinner and breakfast will be free, right? 20,000 shillings, which is like about $8, right? $10 if you want, but basically $8, right? So they said they would give me a plate of dinner, and it was a pretty big plate of food, right? But at some point, one of the brothers who, you know, like one of her brothers who married a Wazungu, right? Mzungu, right? White woman, right? He comes and complains and says, you should pay more. Because at one point I was like, you know, actually, I'm going to pay for all the dinner up front. You know what I mean? Because what happened was that there was like a problem with their bank information, so they didn't get the cash right away. And so I felt like they might have been like, depending on the cash. So I was like, okay, I'll pay you for the dinner up front. Okay? And therefore you don't have to, you know, stress too much about the money coming in later. Right? And they were like, cool. And then I came back and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should pay less because I'm paying up front. You know what I mean? Because that's how it's supposed to be. If somebody's going to pay up front, they shouldn't pay the whole amount or whatever. But eventually they were like, well, didn't you, you know, they started telling me the kind of capitalist arguments I was using, whatever, right? or the kind of market arguments I was using. But though later on, the brother comes to me and he says, look, you should be paying more, right? Because if you were in America, you would not be paying no $10 for dinner and breakfast a day. You know what I mean? If you were in America, you'd be paying so on and so forth. And it's like this, real talk. If I were in America, I wouldn't pay shit for this food. If I were in America, I would not pay shit for this food. The food wasn't that good. And the hygiene standards in that particular region was abysmal. The hygiene standards where I was now what I can say about the women is that the women have good vaginal hygiene standards, like best I've ever seen in the fucking world. Okay, like I've been to several countries. I ain't gonna say I've been with several women in different countries, but like the hygiene standard for the women in Tanzania, like no matter the fucking social class, they wash their vagina after every, like they scrub their vagina after every fucking sexual encounter. The woman here I had sex with in America, she just kind of laid there, let it stew, over the course of, how long I was there. Whereas the women in Tanzania, as soon as you get up, they say, okay, and then they just rinse off right away. And like with the hose and stuff, it's actually phenomenal. They were tip top clean. But as far as when it comes to food, the hygiene standards were abysmal. Like especially in Tabata where I was, like flies on your food was not unusual. Flies on your food, gloves were never used, obviously. Running water wasn't even a thing there. It was awful. So it's like, no, I would never pay for this food in America. So when we talk about market price, or market rate, we're talking about, and then another thing on top of it was that when we talk about market rate, as I was explaining to them, I said, look, I could go outside and get this shit for cheaper. So if I can go outside and get this for cheaper, you can't charge me more for it. And so that's what it comes to when we talk about the bodies and so on and so forth. Yeah, I'm willing to pay a little more, but you can't tell me to pay American rates, because American rates are dictated by the market. Like, what can I get outside of the individual seller, as well as, there's a fucking hygiene standard that makes it justified. That, like if there's one fly in a damn restaurant in America, that shit's getting written up. That shit's probably gonna get closed. And I tell you, I went to one restaurant. There was a fucking dead goat in a corner. A dead goat in a fucking corner where the chairs were. With like what? It didn't even make any damn sense. So like it just didn't make any damn sense. So anyway, let's see what the comments are. Lero says I'm weak. What's up? Barna asked if he's coming on later. Yeah, he's coming on later. Lero says do better only. Do better with what? What are you saying to us again? The women you sleep with in the U.S. weren't cleaning their twats after sex? Lero, stop playing. Stop playing. You know what I mean? Like, if you saw these women in Tanzania, you would say the same damn thing. Because they don't even clean. Like, no, I'm talking about after you orgasm once. Like, as soon as the sex act is done, they go to the bathroom and they use, I don't want to say it's a bidet, but that's like a hose that like all these women have. They have a hose where they just spend like a good, 3 minutes, 4 minutes washing their vaginas. And this is like of all social classes. So like, regardless of if this woman's a damn whatever or this, she is scrubbing her vagina, making sure that her vagina is rinsed out for the next for the next round. Like, nah, like women in America, no. Like I've been with several women in America and I haven't seen it like that. You could say it's me, but it's not. Like shit. Like Lero, like you're just one woman. I've shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I lost count. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just gonna say it. I lost count. But it is what it is. Anyway, so until the last decade, brothers, come on, let Lero know that women don't be washing they vaginas after every sexual encounter. I don't know about the hose, but I thought washing up was normal, LOL. No, they are hosing it down after every round. Okay, so if you go in 3 rounds, they're washing their vagina 3 damn times. In America, a clean woman might wash herself after everything is done. Okay, these women are hosing down like full water jet, on their vaginas after every, and they call like when a man orgasms a round, right? After every round. And like I said, like no matter the social class. So she could be, this or that, so on and so forth. Lero, you don't be doing, Lero's not going to tell us that she watch her. Okay, Lero, if you do it, then that's on you. But even like, for instance, when I'm, like, see me, I rinse off after every round too, but I do that for reasons that, reasons to make it so that you can't, impregnate a woman. I do it for the scientific value. So I personally wash off too. So I'm not saying that nobody in America doesn't. But like one thing I also do is I wash my hands a lot, and women complain that I wash my hands a lot. They're like, "Oh, what are you, a germaphobe? Why are you washing your hands so much?" So it's like, yeah, no. A lot of American women are not on that tip. Although the Tanzanian women were not washing their hands that much either. So, but like a lot of people are not on that tip of thing. If you do it, that's good. You know what I'm saying? That's good. But like, no, nobody's gonna believe that cap. That's a like compared to time. Like no. All right. So until the last decade, I'm not trying to read this whole thing because y'all can see it's not that much progress. It's like a real ass long article. So let me see how. Let me see the next break point. Oh, it is the next break. Well, maybe the break point after that. I don't know. We'll see. Where the fuck were we? Implies an apology for sexual economics, so on and so forth. All right, here. So the tendency for the issue of sexual exchange to become polarized, in particular given the essentialization spawned by debates over Caldwell's African sexuality thesis, makes it easy to overlook that they are generally severally over. Oh no, I read that one. Provides Seto's ethnography from Kilimanjaro region, Tanzania, provides a detailed analysis of how the diverse motives shape sexual relationships. Until the last decade, most research in sub-Saharan Africa on sexual transactions focused on urban areas and commercial sex work, rather than transactional sex in rural areas. Yet the majority of the population are rural. In Tanzania, for example, 70% of people live in rural areas. And I actually didn't go to the rural areas. Isn't that weird? But hey, furthermore, because I don't speak the language. Furthermore, most qualitative, and that's another thing you got to realize. Sorry, I thought it meant fast. That's another thing you have to realize. Because I don't speak the language, it's like, what do you expect me to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you expect me to give a woman in terms of conversation, Furthermore, and most of them don't speak English at all. So furthermore, most qualitative research on young people's sexual relationships has been conducted with secondary school students. Ugh. Yet in East Africa, that's weird. That's just weird. But yet in Eastern Africa, only 5 to 24% of young people reach secondary school, and they are likely to be highly untypical in terms of relative affluence and ways of thinking about the future. I don't know who that is. Somebody just randomly texted me. That's what I'm saying, though, man. You be messing with. All right, like who's that? All right. In Tanzania as a whole, the figure is 6% for males. And 5% for females. Untypical and relative affluence and ways of thinking about the future. In Tanzania as a whole, the figure is 6% for males and 5% for females, and even lower in rural areas. Most qualitative studies collected data through group discussion, which may bias finding towards normative beliefs, and we are only aware of 2 other studies employing any participant observation. So what I want to say is this: when it comes to like they're saying, the top 5% of women actually had an education, actually knew how to speak English. And so I was kind of technically messing with the top 5%. I don't want to say top 5%, but you get what I'm saying. Like 5% of the population, right? With I was pretty much engaging with like 5%, and these 5% were still like, yeah, you need to pay. And I mean, like, obviously some women who didn't speak English, I still mess with them, obviously. But yeah, they were also on that, you need to pay. And, basically you need to pay more because you're a fucking foreigner. With quantitative studies, the validity of sexual behavior data is highly problematic and must be treated very cautiously. Furthermore, survey questions rarely investigate the type of gifts provided or context for gift giving. This means we have little idea about the proportion of relationships that involve transactions and to what extent the transactions are specific inducements for sexual access. The aim of this paper is to examine young rural women's motivations to exchange sex for gifts or money, the way in which they negotiate transactional sex throughout their relationships, implication of their negotiation for the HIV epidemic. The findings come from the ethnography of young people's sexual behavior in rural Mwanza region, northern Tanzania. Most of the data comes from participant observation with young people who have not attended secondary school, and most were unmarried. So, I think we're not going to read this, obviously, but maybe just going to read this, or just a little bit of it. I don't know. But we're obviously not going to read the whole article because, like he's talking about they're going to ask young people, secondary school, like, I don't know. Like, we're grown ass folk. You know what I'm saying? like, it don't really matter. I mean, it's weird that young people are doing that, but I'm not really, I'm not really a thing, Yeah, tell me, brothers, because I'm not understanding. Pee and wash. I thought that was normal feminine hygiene after sex or each round. Okay, yeah. So some women say, yeah. I mean, I've been with a couple of women who are like the urinary tract infection. A lot of them are not doing it every round, but they are making sure they pee. And obviously they wash after they pee, but they're not like washing, like Valera says, the whole tip is kind of impressive. Like they're washing because they peed. You know what I mean? But like these women were like straight up taking a damn shower. You know what I'm saying? Like straight up taking a shower. It's like soap and water type extreme, and not like to avoid urinary tract infection, but just like good feminine hygiene, like next level. Anyway, so although we recognize the sexual relationships are a complex phenomenon influenced by a multitude of factors at a macro-social, micro-social, psychological, and physiological levels, this paper is restricted almost entirely to social factors. At a macro level, the social factors shaping sexual relationships generally give men greater power than women and create the material and ideological conditions that encourage transactional sex. Although interrelated, they can be broadly divided between economic factors, kinship factors, and normative factors. At a micro level, the factors shaping the relative bargaining power of potential sexual partners can be divided between their individual attributes, which generally persist over time, and the specific circumstance of a particular sexual encounter. At this level, the direct dimension of power has sometimes benefited women. This different level of influence are summarized below. More space being given to the macro social factors since the micro social factors are presented in the findings section. Okay, so again, this doesn't sound like it's going to be that interesting, but again, you're in a culture where they're saying economic conditions in sub-Saharan Africa generally give men far greater power than women. Okay, that's it. Women rarely hold land in their own right. They generally work much longer hours than men, but largely because of their domestic responsibilities are far less able to sell their labor. Consequently, most are economically dependent on men. The gender division of labor extends to most areas of work except for certain farming activities. And whilst it gives women power in specific spheres, in general, it greatly benefits men, which some men recognize. Okay, so they're saying, hey, look, patriarchal, right? However, there's patriarchal relationships have been being eroded for over a century. While the influence of missionaries on marriage patterns is contested, there is no doubt that the increasing dominance of the cash economy has undermined the land or cattle-based power of male elders. Men's employment initially reinforced their economic power, but in recent decades, contractions of formal employment have left men unable to fulfill their newly acquired breadwinner role, undermining their status as head of household. Meanwhile, women's entrepreneurial skills and harder work give them an advantage in the informal sector, reducing their economic dependence on men and the rationale for marriage. Now, you might as well just say America, right? These social changes are almost certainly at their most advanced in urban areas and may only be starting in rural areas dominated by subsistence farming. Now, what we have to understand about rural areas is this, right? If I wanted to get a young girl, like 16, 14, into my house to change my bed sheets every fucking day, I could just go into a village and say, which of these, like, who can I buy? Who can I pay? And that's what was the custom in Africa. So me personally, obviously, I know, like I when I was in the house in Tabata, they had a young girl, 16, freaking, I kind of think she was incompetent, low key, but 16, no education, no educational prospects. Okay, she would just wash clothes and clean, like fix my room every fucking day, to the point where I had to ask her to stop. I said, please stop, like, because she would just move things, and then she would also like Like it was like I just didn't, first off, I didn't like the child labor thing, obviously, and second of all, like I don't like people going to my room, because I had a bunch of money there. You know what I'm saying? I would sometimes just give her money, just cause, you know what I mean? Like kind of just like, here's some money. You know what I mean? She would, or like for instance, she would wash my clothes, and people were they would try like like my clothes would drop on the floor and type shit. It was annoying, but I would still like pay them like pretty much their month's salary, to just wash my clothes. You know what I mean? Cause like it's like it parallels slavery to me. In Haiti they call it the Restivac system. So I'm just like, he said, wait a minute, Oni, are you buzzing up these women raw? Keep your DNA to yourself, bro. Wrap it up. I mean, I wrap it up sometimes. But that's how it is in America too. Like, you guys gotta remember, like in the real world, like it's weird, man. Women be weird. Like the women that here in America, you say, look at this, man. Like I came back to America and I'm like, look at that. I'm clean. You know what I mean? Like I show her my paperwork, like look at that. I don't got this, I don't got that, I don't got that. She's like, okay. I'm actually allergic to some condoms. And I'm like, okay, what, you got the other ones? She's like, nah, just put it in. No, she had some other ones, but, and I was just like, I kind of regret it, but, but that's how it is sometimes. I don't know. I mean, I tend to say that guys don't, but like I said, there's a way to avoid fertility, so I'm not even, like, sweating it, As long as you're clean, you're clean. It's not good to trust strangers, which is kind of like one of the lessons of the world. But, like all's well that ends well. You know what I mean? But yeah, I agree. You should definitely wrap it up. But like, if a brother tells you that he always wraps it up, that's good for him. You know what I'm saying? I usually do. Like when I was in America, I mean, but a lot of these women, man, they're like, they ain't messing with no other dudes, and it is what it is. I'm not gonna say it's a good idea though. I mean, I think brothers should wrap it up. I think it's a good advice, but brothers got to be realistic. I think 99% of the times but like some women, like they just insist, and you go and get tested. I mean, it is what it is. It's not the best idea on the planet. I'm not gonna hold you guys, but it's not even that you get caught up. It's just like the reality is this: if there is no consequence, like I said, the world is run on imagination. Like reality and imagination have dichotomy. So if you imagine that there's no consequence, like that's going to be very, like you can't tell reality. You don't know if she has something, but like the odds are that she doesn't. And then the thing is that she did it. Another thing about HIV that I learned a little later was that you actually, it's not a 1-to-1, it's not a 100% chance that you will contract it. So if you sleep with somebody who has HIV, you're probably like a 5% chance of catching it. If you do anal sex, however, you might have like a 40% like that. That's why the gays get it more, right? It's not so much like, it's like realistically, like there's a percent chance. Now, I'm not saying to play that Russian roulette, obviously. And I do encourage people to wrap it up, but a lot of factors come into, like, for instance, do you have an open cut and all that kind of shit, and all that kind of stuff. But like realistically, the transmission rate is not 100%. Now I thought it was 100%, but I was talking to this woman and she was like, no, it's not 100%. And I was like, oh, but like, obviously, like, yeah, obviously wrap it up, especially if you don't want to have children. But again, I know how to science, like I know like there's science behind it. Anyway, whatever, little bit of tangent, but yeah, definitely wrap it up. Like if you don't know how to operate on a scientific level, then wrap it up, unless you want to have kids. So anyway, how are these patriarchal relationships? And of course, wrap it up for avoid disease. But like realistically, just don't mess with women with diseases. Like that's really what you're supposed to do. And what's interesting that there was like a take-home test, like an HIV test that you could just give people. So like the one time I messed with a real escort or whatever, I just had her take a test. You know what I mean? Like I just had her take a test and she was perfectly willing to do it. She took her blood. I took her blood sample. I put it in the experiment and, it came out clear. She was clean. And then that was it. And I still wore a condom with her, obviously. But like some women were like, like they, All right. So anyway, how these patriarchal relations have been eroded for over a century, while the influence, cash, blah, blah, blah. Men's employment initially reinforced the economic power, but in recent decades, blah, blah, blah. I read that already. Meanwhile, women's entrepreneurial skills and harder. These social changes are almost certain as they're more advanced in urban areas and only be started in. So I think I read that. System of kinship and marriage have been important underlying factors in women's disempowerment. The Sukuma are very similar to their southern neighbors in Nyamwazi, for whom rights in the productive and reproductive capacity of women are in a large part controlled by and transferred for payment between men. Bride wealth still determines the nature of marriage, most importantly given the groom's rights to the children. But it also in Botswana encompasses the idea that a man has paid for sexual access to the wife. It involves a significant transfer of wealth, particularly if the bride is young and considered virtuous, typically 6 cattle or increasingly the cash equivalent. Since it's paid by the groom's father to the bride's father, it gives them considerable influence over their children's unions. However, with the socioeconomic changes eroding patriarchal control, alternative to formal marriage, such a elopement have become increasingly prevalent. Okay? Reducing children's economic dependence on parents. Furthermore, in the towns and increasingly in rural areas, some women feel able to make strategic choices not to get married at all. So I think we were talking about this yesterday. So this is one example, where the bride's father gives to the so on and so forth. Now, of course, if I'm going to marry a woman, I'm not going to ask my dad for any money. You know what I mean? Shit. You know what I'm saying? Obviously. Now my dad is actually pretty middle class, like pretty well middle class. Like he's pretty well off. But I'm not going to ask him for money anyway. Ronnie says, laugh my ass off. I think Ronnie laughing about some of the shit I'm talking about. All right. So let's go. So the most relevant social norms related to women's status and sexual culture. In general, women are of lower social status and are culturally inhibited from asserting their interest in public. The predominant sexual culture for young people in rural Mwanza has previously been described in terms of contradictory norms. These ideal standards of behavior are not entirely prescriptive, but can be seen as resources that can be drawn on to legitimate behavior. Sexual activity is constrained by norms of school pupil abstinence. Female sexual respectability and taboos around the discussion of sex. However, these norms are incompatible with the several widely held expectations that sexual activity is inevitable unless prevented. Sex is a female resource to be exploited. Restrictions on sexual activity are relaxed at festivals, and masculine esteem is boosted through sexual experience. Most young people cope with these contradictions by concealing their sexual relationships. As others have noted elsewhere, it is generally more important to observe discretion than restrictive sexual mores. This discretion is a prerequisite to managing different sexual identities in different social contexts, usually theorized by Helvel as contextualized individuality. So, again, that was just a bunch. We're just kind of trying to read through this, like just to the end of this, and then obviously you guys can read it on your own if you're interested. But women are greatly concerned to maintain their sexual respectability and their norm, and particularly important in relation to negotiating transactional sex. There are several widely used terms for women who are thought to be sexually disreputable, such as wasimbe, women living independently of a man, or unmarried separated mothers. So single mothers are wasimbe, right, which is considered a disreputable term, right? Wahuni, which is covers a wide range of socially sanctioned behavior, but in the context means loose or promiscuous, and more derogatory, Malaya, which is a prostitute, which refers to a woman who explicitly solicits sex and who has sex with many partners, relatively little selectivity or discretion, as discussed by so on and so forth. So you can kind of see there's a little bit of shaming on these kind of women. But again, it is helpful to recognize that the universal meaning of prostitute as the personification of a sexually absolutely immoral may not be fully applied in the same way here. In rural Mwanza, as in Botswana, the linking of sex with money or gifts is in most cases not regarded as immoral, and most of the transactional sex reported in this paper was not regarded by villagers as umayala, but rather as a normal aspect of any sexual relationship, formation, continuation, and substance. You see what I'm saying? This is what I'm trying to say, because that's what I'm saying. When I was there, I would sometimes get into some, intellectual debates with these women and be like, you're basically doing prostitution. They're like, no, you're not really paying for sex. This is the normal part of a relationship. for my continuance, for my sustenance. You want me to eat well. You just had sex with me. You want me to, eat a little food afterward. You want me to get back to you. They justified it. Whatever. But it's like, so I was like, nah, this sounds like prostitution. I pretty much just paid for sex. Right? They're like, no, you pay for the company, you pay for this. I was like, okay. But that's what it is. So we come in this Western mindset. We're like, it's immoral. And they're like, no, it is normal. It is amoral. And yet, like I said, like if y'all see, Shoot the Breeze, these guys are like, man, you're a fucking trick. You're a simp. You're immoral. You're an exploiter. And it's like, no, this is what the people were doing. My sister Tanzania, my sister from another mister, she's like, yeah, he was forced into it. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, this is the fucking culture. This is what they're doing among themselves. Like this paper is, look, you guys noticed this. This paper has nothing to do with foreigners. That's what you got to pick up on with this paper. We went through all this whole paper. Nobody said, oh yeah, and then we got to charge these foreigners. Or these foreigners come along, they just asking for money. They're talking about locals. They're talking about rural ass isolated villages. And they're like, yeah, man, a woman should, if she's trying to make a relationship with a man should give her money. Now, maybe she shouldn't have indiscriminate, but they don't see it that way. They're like, okay, there are examples of women who are just like busting it open. That is a little bit extreme. There are examples of women who are, every other guy has her. They're like, okay, we don't like that. There are examples of women who are single mothers or who are just living independently and they give their body, because they don't have no relationship. That's like that. Like as far as I'm concerned, that's okay. That's the modern woman, unfortunately, but that's okay. Would you prefer to marry a woman? Absolutely. But they're saying if you are trying to marry a woman, you gotta fucking pay first, and not just the bride price. You just have to give. You just have to be able to afford a woman. You have to be able to afford a family. Guys. Actually, one of the clowns yesterday was like, "Well, the dowry is for the children." Yeah, duh. You gotta have the fucking money. You gotta put up a shut up. But people don't. Like I said, it's not me. Cause I'll prefer. I guess I like Wasimbe. Women living independently of a man. Separated mothers. Unmarried mothers. I like that the most. Find me on Wasimbe. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, teach a man to fish or give a man to fish. I like to teach a woman how to fish. I would say, look, here's some capital. You start a business. Don't ask me for shit. Okay, you got a business now. Don't ask me for shit. But again, this is not me. This is not foreigners. This is not sexual conquest, sexual exploitation. This is what it is. And I want people to get that. Okay, I see most people fell off, so I'm gonna just try to wrap up after this. I'm gonna wrap up. You know what I'm saying? All right. Transactional sex as described here. This is from Umalea. Prostitution because of the perceived or actual selectivity of partners and the perceived moral aspects, social respectability. Like Malaya, some other women chose to have sex with many overlapping partners over time, but they were more discreet and considered themselves selective in who they chose, e.g. not having sex with every man who asked. Malaya may instead primarily or only consider the money involved, taking it relatively indiscriminately, including having sex with men they may actively dislike. Related to this and to their perceived immorality, it may well be that Malaya explicitly have many more partners and or higher frequency of partner change than other women. So a lot of people are like, they're saying you're mistaking transactional sex with prostitution. And I mean, I get it. Cause like I said, I kind of thought, look, I don't see how this is different from prostitution. And the women are like, no, this is not prostitution. These are women who have selectivity of partners. Like they like you. They want to have some sort of relationship with you. They want to have sex with you, but they don't want to seem cheap. And I mean, it's like even in America, you want to sleep with a woman, right? Or you dating a woman and you like, okay, I'll take you to McDonald's, right? She's like, the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you want me to bust it open if you gonna bring me to McDonald's? Ain't no way, boy. Right? And it's just a mindset of, oh wow, you treated me like I'm cheap. Like, I just talked to this sister the other day. She was like, take me to a seafood restaurant. Why did she say that? Is it because McDonald's don't? Is it because KFC don't rinse down? Of course KFC rinse down. You know what I mean? Of course KFC rinse down. But she's like, take me to a seafood restaurant, pay $150 for the dinner so that I know that you value me. Like what Lara was asking earlier, how you know it's a materially value woman. Because now if I take a woman to a seafood restaurant versus if I take her to McDonald's, am I buying the woman? Am I exploiting the woman? No. Because I happen to have some paper. No. It is the social custom. It is from her selectivity and her perceived moral aspect, her social respectability. You know, if she goes and says, "Yeah, this man took me to Wendy's, and then I gave him, the best head of his life." Get the best head of his life, and I fucked him down. You know what I'm saying? I got him to come, and I swallowed that shit, and then I paid for his taxi to go home. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a woman who said that some man did that to her, and I had to ask her if she was held at gunpoint. You know what I'm saying? There's some dumb shit where the dude asked her to pay, and then he took the change, and then she paid for his taxi home. And I was like, was this at gunpoint or some shit? But it is what it is. Like, that's embarrassing. The social respectability is not there. But like what they're saying is that this is, and I'm saying is that this is what we have in America too. But it's just not a direct payment. It's an indirect payment. I don't go to the seafood. I don't like seafood. When I had a wife, one of the issues we used to have was that she used to like cooking shrimp. And I would be like, why are you cooking shrimp? It's so expensive. Like, it's too expensive. I don't like, shrimp doesn't taste that good. And shrimp doesn't taste, nothing tastes that good that I got to spend $30, $20 on it. Now, nowadays I spend that money. But back in days, I was cheap. I was kind of broke. I ain't gonna hold y'all. So I was like, yeah, man, we used to just argue over that. Like, oh man, the finances are off. Right? Yeah, it was different, so I'm saying this to say that, yeah, even today, even in Western societies, the woman is selective, and she looks for social selectivity, and she also looks for how much are you willing to put up, how much money, like what are the expenses that you are willing to undertake on her behalf. If you are on a date and you say, let's go Dutch, she's like, okay, you're not the kind of man for me. Or she might be like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But usually she's like, you're not the man for me. You know what I mean? In fact, I saw this video, Italian guy, okay? His daughter is pranking him. And she says, I was on this date and this guy had me pay for the dinner. And he was like, Italian guy. He's like, who the fuck is this guy? I want to find him, and I want to like, I want to beat his ass. I want to show him how to be a fucking man, because who makes a woman pay? Like, this is just a normal concept. But again, the difference is that in this culture, the women just ask for it, and they're asking for less than if you were to go to the shrimp restaurant, which I would have done. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, let me just finish this right here. I'm not going to do the methods or whatever. So while these factors structure the broader context for sexual encounters, they also operate at a micro-social level, shaping people's motivations to engage in sexual relationships and negotiations that occur within them, sometimes understood in terms of interactional competence. See what I'm saying? So again, this is not what we're going to do with the foreigners. This is what they do among themselves and what is interactional competence. Interactional competence says, pay, like I am motivated. No, I expect that you are not gonna just take me to fucking McDonald's. And the irony is, and the reason why I say this McDonald's is this: KFC was a luxury food in Tanzania. It was a middle class food in Tanzania. Okay, it was a middle class food. Same price as America. Matter of fact, it was a luxury. Okay, Pizza Hut was a luxury. and you know, and all that kind of stuff. Like these were like name brand restaurants, like good restaurants. So like again, and that's the level I was operating on. So I was pretty much always doing luxury. Most guys are not doing that. But all right, interactional counseling. So in terms of power differentials, potential sexual partners negotiating power within specific encounters is largely shaped by their individual attributes and their immediate circumstances. For instance, a woman's physical attractiveness and a male's marital eligibility give each greater bargaining power. The extent to which women see themselves as able to negotiate sexual relationships successfully in their own interest is also likely to be critical. Now, that's a probably important footnote, honestly. So circumstantial factors are also important. Material need, the threat of physical force, or strong affection reduces a woman's bargaining power, while strong affection or intense sexual desire reduces a man's, right? Furthermore, both parties can be disempowered by their need to present themselves differently in different social realms. For instance, young women being potentially sexually available to seducers, but having to ensure that they can conceal any sexual experience from their parents. So that's pretty much what I was going to do. I don't think I'm going to read the methods. Looks like I could just probably skim through it. Looks like they go from villages 1 to 4, and they tell you about the different villages. So these are the age, which is good. 5 Tanzanians, 21 to 30, which is a good age. We can skip through that. Findings. Okay, findings sounds a little interesting, but let's not waste any more time. Let's see. Some basic information about living conditions. Few households owned a thing. Most women walked for... Oh, this is the rural area. So they're like, most women walked for 1 to 4 kilometers for water. Like these women want some stuff. There was little evidence of romantic love in premarital. Young women very rarely expressed wish to get to know someone of the opposite sex other than negotiate having sex and sexual intercourse. So there are some women like that. There's jealousy and possessiveness. So you guys can definitely read through this, the poverty rate. Now, of course, they're talking about the rural areas. I want people to realize that. So in the rural areas, a little different. Remember that one of the things that happens inside of rural areas, so this is probably an interesting thing, gaining capital for small businesses. I'll probably read through that. But one other thing I want to say about rural areas is, again, these people are actually actively being enslaved by other people. Like they're literally becoming house girls by the locals there. Okay? Now, I'm obviously not messing with, anybody who's not 18, obviously. Or not over 18, or 18 and above, right? So, I'm not whatever. But like the people, like if you want to talk about an exploitative system, although again, what you call exploitation versus, the reality of the world, i.e., if these kids or whatever do not, like, they're not going to get a good life. Like, these are the people who are ending up in Saudi Arabia getting their organs torn out or getting abused by these Arabs. You know what I'm saying? So as to say that, life is really harsh. Life is really thing. So rural areas are really difficult, especially for women, because like you were saying, you're not going to own land. Like when you are landless in a situation of land, it's awful. So let me say this right here. Let me read this. Gaining capital for small business. A few enterprising young women engaged in transactional sex to accumulate capital to start a business. This is trading food products, repairing, selling snacks, or operating food kiosks. They consider that as a wiser use of money received from sex than buying commodities. A 19-year-old Mshimbe described how when a man gave her 2,000 shillings, she added it to what she got from other partners and started her food kiosk business. She said to a woman has to be clever in spending the money given to her by men. Otherwise, you will always spend everything they give you and end up borrowing every day. However, while transactional sex sometimes enabled young women to start a business, such business may have also provided opportunities for transactional sex. In fact, for some young women, the businesses were valued as an excuse to get home late, allowing them to meet sexual partners. They also provided an easy way to explain to strict parents how new clothes or money was acquired, right? So what I want to highlight here is this. 2,000 shillings. You know what 2,000 shillings is? $1. Okay? So these women are saying, hey, and I don't know what the rate was in in the time this article was written, right? But, and I'm not saying that I've ever seen anybody offering that, like asking for that little. But what I want people to understand, so again, I guess I can't really say anything about this, but because again, we don't know how much this was valued at the time. But this right here today is $1. And I was never doing anything like that. But again, this wasn't even like, oh, foreigner came in and said, I'll have sex with you for $1, right? This was, locals saying, yeah, I'll have sex with you for $1. Although I don't want to say it's $1 because I don't know. I don't want to even look it up, honestly. But I think that might be somebody in the chat. But I know nobody's in the chat, so I'm really just trying to wrap up. Bit of Medicine said Bakari is on later. Consider should be on too. Harsh should be on tonight at 8:15 p.m. KWZ Radio. So make sure you guys check out everybody else. So I think that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna scroll through, see if there's anything else. Bullying, tricks, and deception. They bully women into agreeing sex by fabricating stories about prior gifts. One female informant reported he gives her like 20 or maybe 20,000 shillings for sugarcane. Then he wants to beat her if she refuses sex. If asked by people why he wants to beat her, he says she ate his money worth 2,000 shillings. What the fuck? 13-year-old schoolgirl. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is exploitation. So I think he actually said he gave her 20 shillings. 20 shillings, which is, again, I don't know how much the shillings are worth back then. So we would have to look up that. But and again, these are like fucking children. So this is definitely, and this is weird. So again, a guy like me, not doing this shit. A common trick was a man to use an intermediary gift to get a young woman to accept the gift indirectly. For instance, a few food kiosk owners reported that men sometimes told them to serve food to a particular woman. Something was from the kiosk owner's gift. The man then paid the bill, putting him in a strong position to negotiate having sex with the woman, since she was indebted to him. However, most women were aware of such tricks. A man buys you a tea or soda, he gives you money, he cunningly pleases you. He can cater for your cost first before propositioning you. Some girls and women described being deceived with false promises of future payment. Those repeatedly several times they would seek a new partner. Though this was repeated several times, they would seek a new partner. A young woman informally bitterly described her boyfriend as sly. He tells you tomorrow when tomorrow comes. He says tomorrow like that, and you continue. But you guys get it. Festivals and so on and so forth. So this is a discussion afterward. The discussion might be something you actually want to read. I mean, you could probably want to read all of this, honestly. But, well, I don't know. Again, like, the thing about, sex with children is not a subject. Like I said, I have a young son, so I'm not really interested in the idea of sex with children. I guess not a comfortable subject for me. But like, yeah, so this is, so this will probably be the discussion. So I think it deals with the kids though, but yeah. So anyway, but yeah, you guys get it pretty much. So like Bit of Medicine said, you check out the other stuff, but I hope this at least clarifies and clears up that no, Oni wasn't going to motherfucking Africa and being a sexual exploiter or some shit. I mean, there were a bunch of sexual exploiters in Africa? Abso-fucking-lutely. Was it the foreigner who pays above market rate? No. Who pays above market rate and gives good sex and only deals with women in his age grade? No. Like women were looking for relationships and you tried them out. You tried to see if they were decent. And it's like you do the same shit in America. And it's like if me, except for that, you don't give direct money in America. But like if me, talking to a woman and she being convinced that I'm a quality guy, whether it be because I buy her food, whether it be because I offer to buy her ride, whether it be because I just, work and all that kind of stuff, like whatever it is. If a woman is convinced that you're a good guy and she sleeps with you and you and by local custom you buy her dinner or some shit, if that makes you, you don't buy her McDonald's but you buy her, some soul food, right? If that makes you a simp or a trick or a degenerate or a exploiter, whatever it is you could fathom, right? You're just not understanding how the world goes. You know what I mean? The world is really again, like our ancient African ancestors said, Anku Ja Senab. It's really about life, it's really about health, and it's really about wealth. And if you can't process that people in relationships want that, and that if you are helping people with their life, you're helping people with their health, helping people with wealth, then they are being selective with you, and you're just being selective with them, and you're both having a wholesome relationship, maybe not a spiritual intermingling, but you're having a relationship, then look, you're just not paying attention. Okay? You're not paying attention to your life, where absolutely if you stop providing for your wife, she's going to start getting pissed at you. Where absolutely money is an emotional factor between human beings, where absolutely people are 3 paychecks away from starvation and homelessness. If you're not paying attention to the world that you're in, that is on you. But this was the podcast to let you know what the real world is like. So let's just see what the last comments are. If anybody has any last comments, let us know right now, and we can address them before we go. But Real Black Gentleman says, when you add grass seed, you should add nutrients and fertilizers as well. Yeah, absolutely. You should. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What you should. I mean, it's a little bit metaphorical, but yeah, you should. If you're in a relationship, or if you meet another human being, right, help them out. And sure, you might say, well, Oni, it just sounds like you're helping out women. Yeah. Because I'm from a culture where we don't help dudes. It's like, y'all remember Pimp Named Slipback? It was like, I don't do shit for dudes. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't do shit for dudes. Now, you might say, well, Oni, it sounds like you're having sex with some of these women that you're helping. And it's like, yeah, some of them. Some of them. Some of the other women I just help out because why not? Like, some of them, like, and then they want to have sex with you. They want to have sex with you. So it's like, and you're like, no, because, people might, whatever. But, like, I'd rather a friendship right now, they don't got the nash. You know what I'm saying? So you're like, yeah, you cute in the face, but, you know what I mean? I can't do much with the face. But you gotta know. You gotta know when you can break a woman. You know what I'm saying? I'm 6 feet tall, 200 fucking pounds. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but yeah, like you have to be a helpful person, and people will be and the reality is this, that everybody else is doing it, and it's not a matter of, well, everybody's jumping off a cliff. Nobody's jumping off a fucking cliff. You're just in a fucking culture. You just have to realize not everything is in America. Get the white man out of your fucking head, right? Stop thinking through what you think the white man's gonna do. Nobody gives a shit, and just enter another country and recognize where you are. And you're in a world, and it's not just that country. Again, you're in a world where life, health, and wealth are the most important things on the planet for all of us human beings. All of us human beings. All of us. Okay? Life, health, and wealth. Uncle Ja Seneb is the most important thing, and our ancestors said it to each other. They would sometimes be like, yo, man, Taharka, Uncle Ja Seneb. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. That's the end of the podcast. Appreciate everybody. And in that, I'm actually going to say Uncle Ja Seneb, because I've been saying it for how many years in this podcast. At the end, you guys check back. Wait, how I start that? Shem Hotep, Uncle Ja Seneb, Neb, Amen Ma'at, Dua Netcher. And that's it.